Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of 1 Thessalonians
with Brady Randall.
Yesterday, we saw how God uses and designs trials to strengthen the faith of his people. But today, I want to highlight another way that God uses trials, and that is through the tempter, which is referring to Satan. In the last part of verse 5, which we read yesterday, I'll read it again today. It says this: I was afraid that in some way the tempter had tempted you and that our labors might have been in vain. In the last chapter, in verse 18 of chapter 2, Paul says this. He says he's wanted to come to visit the Thessalonians, but Satan had blocked our way. Now, I don't know what your view of Satan is. My first picture of him, I think, came in cartoons like Bugs Bunny when Satan was dressed up in a red suit. He had a pitchfork, and it was just, you'd see Satan on the left side of someone's shoulder as the bad part of your conscience or something like that. And many of us have this idea of Satan as some evil entity or crazy being or a made-up concept. But the Bible describes Satan as being very real. He's described as the enemy of God who wants to keep you from faith. He wants you to lose your faith. His design is that a trial, rather than making you stronger, would crush you and defeat you. And he'll use any tactic he can to keep you from depending on Jesus. The term for blocked, meaning blocked our way, it was a military term, which means to block a road or to dig up a trench. It's a tactic from keeping you from getting where you need to go. And Satan desires to keep you and I from coming to faith in the first place. His tactic in doing this is to blind the minds of unbelievers. In fact, we read in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4, that the God of this age, speaking of Satan, has blinded the minds of unbelievers so they cannot see the light that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. In other words, he wants to keep you and I from that truth so that we don't know and experience the freedom and beauty of Jesus. He's the father of lies. And what he's really, really good at is sharing just enough of the truth to get you to follow him, just like he did with the first human beings, Adam and Eve. He wants us to question ourselves, and he wants us to question God by saying, did God really say that? He shades the truth just enough. He's considered a roaring lion that is waiting and lying and waiting to devour its prey. His design and desire is to destroy you, destroy relationships, destroy marriages, ministries, your life, your credibility. He would rather you walk away from faith or never come to faith in the first place. He wants you and I to believe that sin is better than God's way and that God is just holding out on you, not wanting you to experience the pleasure that you could have. He's really good at showing us the bait without the hook. But I want to encourage you today. Satan does not have to be feared. He may be a lion, but he's a lion that's on a leash. Jesus, too, is described as a lion, and Jesus has crushed Satan at the cross. What Satan has meant for evil, God meant for good. Look at the cross. It looked like death, and Satan had won after Jesus had been crucified. He was dead. He was buried. But what looked like the worst day in human history turned out to be the very best day, as God used Jesus' death to ultimately bring life. Satan, in the end, is really only a pawn in the hand of God. His time is limited. He's a defeated foe, walking wounded, and one day he will be thrown into the lake of fire forever. So you don't have to fear Satan today if you trust in Jesus. If you fear God, you have nothing left to fear. Thanks be to God for that incredible news today.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.